Hello and welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie, and we have a very special episode in store for you all because we have hit 200 episodes. Lockie, it's a massive feat, and it's honestly just wild that we've been able to produce this many episodes already. Feels like just yesterday we were putting together everything for our 100th episode. I mean, time just goes by far too quickly. It's been an amazing journey, I think, since we began this, not only just covering the roller coaster ride that is Carlton and everything that is involved with that, but just to see the podcast grow to what it's become now and being able to interact with so many just amazing different Carlton fans. It's kind of exactly what we hoped for when we set out and started this podcast. So it's just been an absolute dream. Lockie, we're going to use this episode to go down memory lane and go through some of the best and maybe worst moments of Carlton and the podcast since we began this. So it's going to be a lot of fun throughout this episode. But firstly, mate, how are you going and how does it feel to know that we've hit 200 episodes?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, mate? You put it into perspective there well with the 100 episodes seeming like not that long ago. But episode 1 feels like a lifetime ago. It was a very different time in our lives, I feel like, and a very different time for Carlton as well. So being able to reflect like this, it puts a lot into perspective of how much, I guess, things have improved over the life of this podcast for Carlton and the whole community has grown so much, and very happy that we've played, I think, a role in that.
Yeah, well, I guess try to take me back to that moment, episode 1. Now, for those that maybe weren't there at the beginning or those that don't remember because it was so long ago, it was the year 2020, which it's crazy when you think about now. That's already been 4 years. Doesn't feel that long ago to me, but looking back at the Carlton team, where we were at that stage, it does feel like a millennium ago. You know, COVID had kind of paused on everything. That was just emerging. What a fun time for everyone that was. And we kind of thought, we've been chatting Carlton our whole lives. Why not start a podcast and chat while we're all locked down and can't do anything else? Season was about to begin again. We're going to play Melbourne. David Teague was still coach. I mean, what were your kind of expectations with the podcast and what were your sort of thoughts going into it when we began? And even what were your expectations on Carlton? Because the Teague train was really at the start of its journey, and weirdly, I guess the expectations and hopes were high at that time.
Totally. Oh, it's so hard to go back to what podcast expectations were. Like you said, I feel like you and I have been chatting footy since probably 2009, talking about the highs and lows of our Carlton experience just throughout high school and following that with the band. So it just felt right that we start putting that out to people's ears and see if it resonated with some people, which it has. Yeah, you're right. I mean, far out. I was pretty positive about Teague, I feel like. You know, you had the Brisbane, the Crips game in 2019. Like, things were looking up. The optimism was high. And it felt like, man, maybe 2020 is the year that we play finals. And
didn't it?
And lo and behold, it wasn't.
No, it was such a weird time. I remember one of the big reasons I really wanted to start the podcast initially was through that Bolton era when everything was just so negative. The media were trashing us every single week. And all I could think was, I just want someone to be a little bit more positive on what's going on and maybe try to look at it from the lens of, well, how can we fix things rather than just everything is complete trash right now. And that's probably where it all began for us, and the optimism of Teague taking over at that stage. I think we all believed at that stage we were maybe going to see Carlton start to lift then and there. Maybe that what we've seen since Boss has taken over instead, start to play finals almost, immediately. And it's crazy looking back at the squad at that time and thinking that that's the squad that can take us there. So look, we're going to play some clips of our first episode and play clips of so many different moments of this episode, but I'm going to throw Lockie under the bus almost immediately. I don't know if he has anything planned for me. I'll find out throughout the episode, but Lockie,
are we talking about?
Round 2, 2020, Carlton v Melbourne. It was the first game that we were reviewing, building up for the podcast, and I'm going to do a little bit of a
Oh my God.
Guess the 22 on that day, Lockie. Now, the pressure for you isn't as high as it has been because you maybe haven't got one for me. So this isn't. I'm not trying to get you to lose
no
here. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I just think it'd be a fun trip down memory lane of this is when we started the podcast. Let's just see how similar the squad is, or maybe how different things have become. So,
wow.
Do you have any memories of that game at all before I throw to you for the guess the 22?
It's not a super core memory for me. I remember the Richmond game, I feel like, and then the Essendon one with the Falcon, wasn't it? But the Melbourne one, it was a close loss, wasn't it?
Yeah, we lost I think it might have been by like 4 points or very, very close margin in the end. But yes, I'm looking at this team and you probably should do very well on this. I'll give you a very soft 3 incorrect answers and you're out. But I'm here to help. This isn't a challenge against you. This is just a bit of fun. Those watching on YouTube, those listening in audio form, let us know if you have any guesses for this at the time, or absolutely just yell at Lockie in the comments when he can't guess someone very, very obvious. But Lockie, try and guess the team that started that day.
I'm excited. Let's start with Mr. All-Australian Jacob Wiedering.
He is there at centre-half back.
You would hope so. And I guess... Far out. No, my second guess, I wouldn't be there. So what about Nick Newman?
Nick Newman was on the bench. I believe this might... Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the game he got injured and then missed like the whole season? Or am I thinking of a different game? I don't know if it is.
Maybe so. I don't have a good memory of that. I can't remember whether this was a doc season or not, so I'm not going to guess him. And Liam Jones was another name that came to me, but I can't say him. So what about, oh my God, who was playing in that back line back then? All right, let's go Patrick Cripps.
Patrick Cripps was indeed there, Lockie. Absolutely love this for you.
Sam Walsh.
Sam Walsh is there on a wing. He did play a little bit of time there. So this is starting to be very nice team.
It's taking shape. Okay, so what about Mark Murphy?
Mark Murphy, yes, still there at the club. Gee, probably the first player you've named that is no longer with us. As far as it sounded like I said he was dead. No longer with us. No longer at the club. No longer playing. But God, at least we got some final exciting moments of Mark Murphy before he retired.
All right, on that line, I'm going to try and reel off a few of them. What about Eddie Betts?
Eddie Betts is in the forward pocket. You beauty.
And Levi Casbolt.
Yep, that's a centre-half forward, Lockie. That is a centre-half forward.
All right, so then what about Harry Mackay?
Harry Mackay, he's a full forward. Don't you worry, he's there.
Thank God. So no Charlie at this time. This is pre-Mott's, Dirds, Owies, Fantasia. None of those guys. So I guess it would be Mickey Gibbons. Please.
Yes, Mickey Gibbons on the bench. Yeah, it is before a few of these guys. It's hard to remember. I've thrown you this on the spot. I'm surprised you've done this well so far.
No.
But maybe I shouldn't be surprised because every time we've done this, you've had the greatest start, and then I feel like near the end you falter, which is fair enough. Whereas I just immediately miss on the first 5, put myself under pressure, and lose it immediately. So you've done very well, I'd have to say.
Another one I'm worried about is Cruiser. I feel like he was injured for some reason. Is sticking out to me, but I'm not confident on other rucks. So I don't love this guess, but Jack Silvani.
Jack Silvani is your first incorrect answer. Unfortunately, not there.
Okay. That's okay.
But I like that guess. It's not too bad.
I'm thinking about these low numbers. And so guys like Paddy Dow and Lockie O'Brien would be around at this point. Neither of them fill me with a whole lot of confidence. I do not remember them being in this game. So defenders, I've only got 2 defenders, haven't I? Only Wiedering and Newman there so far?
Yes, that is what it looks like at the moment. Yes.
Jack Martin.
Jack Martin is at the half forward line for you, Lockie. He's there.
First season for him.
Yes, was that Richmond game round one? The 4 goals we thought we were getting an absolute superstar, and then injured for the whole rest of his time at Carlton.
Lids were off for sure at that point. God, we were so excited for that recruit, weren't we? Yeah. And now we're getting Christian Petrarca, and we're not even that excited. Give me Lockie O'Brien.
Lockie O'Brien is incorrect. Not
wow. Oh,
I think this was during
this is where you get
absolutely frozen out of the lineup because
could not get a game. Because why? Because
he wasn't very good. He wasn't very good, Lockie. And there was another player. I know you've got Walshy currently on the wing, but there was another player that surprisingly was our sort of starting winger at this stage.
Jack Nunes.
Ooh, not the player I was going to say, but Jack Nunes is in the lineup. He was on the bench.
Oh,
there was a different player we were roaming with on the wing, which no longer at the club. No longer at the club as a nice clue for you.
Okay, I've got another. Do you have easily how many players I've got so far? Just so I get a bit of an ego boost.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 11 correct, 2 incorrect.
Okay. Tom Williamson is another guy that comes to mind.
Oh, I forgot about
Luke Parks.
He existed.
You forgot he existed. Okay, I'm going to hope that means he wasn't there.
Maybe.
I guess Marchie and Cunners were probably injured at this point. De Koning, I feel like he may have been injured. We've had a few injuries over the years, haven't we? Or maybe I'm just remembering it that way. Stocker, I don't feel like he had debuted yet. God, is there any that you are looking at just like you are an idiot if you don't say this guy?
Most of the team that is left, if I'm honest, there is probably
really obvious.
There's probably like 3 or so that I'd be assuming you might sort of fiddle with, but there's so many obvious ones that I think you need to nail right now.
Cade Simpson
in the back pocket there. Beautiful. I'll add him into the little run sheet in front of you so you can keep up to date with this. And for those watching on YouTube, I'll have them on the screen popping up for us as we go along. Those audio listeners, probably not great content, but if you want to watch it for the start at least, head over to the YouTube channel, Navy Blue Corner. Link will be in the description to watch it. But scream at me, Lockie, who else can fit into this team?
Wow. Oh, my God. This is starting to get stressful. I feel like Daisy had retired. Now I'm just looking at this list that you've put together for me. Matt Kennedy's another guy. Cruiser, like I said. Andrew Phillips in the
I feel like you're just naming guys now to see the look on my face if there's any giveaway. And that's what I don't like that. I don't like that, Lockie.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm looking squarely at this list that you've put together for me. God, so bad.
Who could have been fullback at this time, Lockie? I'll extend the wrong answers out to 5 to make it a bit easier because this is on the spot. So you've still got 3 incorrect answers to go. But fullback, who could possibly be playing fullback for Carlton during this time?
Well, I said Liam Jones, but I feel like this was not the period where he was playing because it was the COVID year. So I'm trying to think of other guys. Mate, all right, give me, I hate this guess. Give me Andrew Phillips.
I don't think he was even on the list, Lockie. He's definitely not there. I'll look this up while you guess, but I don't think Liam Jones was there.
So is Liam Jones there?
Yeah, he's a fullback. This is pre had to have the jab.
Oh, was it? Okay. I thought that was
COVID was just starting. We didn't have a vaccine yet, Lockie.
We didn't even have a vaccine, did we?
We didn't even know we were going to need a vaccine. We thought this was maybe just a 6 month.
It's going to blow over.
And then we'll be fine. Little did we know it was about 4 years of our lives, and we're only just recovering.
Surely Andrew Phillips was on the list then.
What was this 2020 Carlton list? This is awful content, but I mean, we're 200 episodes. I'm
glad we've led the episode.
When was it ever going to be good content? Andrew Phillips was what number here, Lockie?
Oh my God, that I don't remember.
No, I got no idea. I'm seeing a Fraser Phillips, which I didn't know there was a
Who?
Fraser Phillips, but he was rookie listed number 39 during this time. Andrew Phillips, absolutely not here on the Carlton list.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have
He
to
was
dive
long
into that
gone,
later.
and there's a reason that he's now becoming very obvious to me why he wasn't on the list. And it might be because of who we have as a ruckman in this game.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering the years. Matthew Cruiser?
No, Lockie.
No.
This is horrific from you. Stop guessing.
Maybe
every
he's
ruckman
injured. I swear he was still there in 2020.
Matthew Cruiser was still on the list, but perennially injured at this stage, I believe.
Another ruckman.
Because we got rid of Andrew Phillips, which meant we had to bring someone in to replace Andrew Phillips, and they were our starting ruckman on this day.
Ian Brownie is not my guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a ruckman.
Wow. No, I'm blanking on that.
Definitely. Okay, still on the list. If that helps you.
It's good.
Still on the list if that helps you, Lockie.
All right.
First nickname on the podcast, if that helps for you. First player nickname for the podcast. If that does not give away who our ruckman was.
What? Not.
Yes. Come on.
Wait. Timelines don't feel real. Not Pitto.
Yes, thank you.
Are you serious?
Thank you.
2020?
Yes.
It's been that long. Wow. That is shocking to me.
He's been here for a while.
This is his 5th season at the club. Wow. That is genuinely mind-blowing. Yeah. There you go.
Brought him over from Hawthorn, got rid of Andrew Phillips. We thought he is a better ruckman, and he's been fine.
That feels like 2 years ago to me. Okay, time isn't real. All right, I'm just going to go balls to the wall here. Sam Doherty.
Sam Doherty was there on the half-back flank.
God, I love him. Oh. McGovern?
Yes. Now, what position do you think he played on this?
I guess he was half forward.
Yeah, he was. He was still a forward at this stage. The 3-headed monster, but, no Charlie. Instead, it was Big Levi. Big Meat, as he was nicknamed at the time. Or Big Tofu.
What a forward line. Look at that.
Stage. This is exceptional stuff. So, at those playing it at home, we've got a back pocket, half-back, wing, forward pocket, another midfielder, and one more player on the bench. Lockie, let me know if you need any clues to try and get you through some of these final picks.
This is a real Berenstein Bears situation with Pitt and Ned. I feel like he came here in last year.
This is not a Mandela effect. Where I'm not letting this happen. Shaq was not there as the genie. Not happening.
I don't know. All right, give me a hint. Don't let me fail.
Back pocket.
It's always more embarrassing with the hints.
Back pocket is no longer at the club, but someone that he may be the player that we've spoken about the most on pod as a time, probably not in a good way that we had to talk about him, but we might have been his number one fans for a very long time.
So Liam Stocker.
Oh, no. No, absolutely not. Incorrect. This is a shambles.
I still miss him. And we were number one fans of him, not at the club. Back pocket, talked about him for a lot.
Bit taller.
Number one fans.
We were backing this man up any bloody time. The whole football, every single fan hates this man.
But we loved him.
Oh, well, we were defenders of him. I don't know if we loved him, but we were staunch defenders of this man. We might have been number 1 and 2 of his fan club, just trying to say it's not his fault. It's not all this. You need a lockdown, Paul Small.
Yes, the flower man. Wow,
yes, thank you.
I've not thought about him in a while.
Took a while, but we got there. So you've got these are all probably the hardest to select at this stage. Okay. Only one is currently still on our list, which does not make things easy for you.
Wow, interesting.
Let's continue on the halfback. This wasn't the position that this player originally began their career playing, but was shifted here, hoping to resurrect their career before ultimately being traded away from the club when it was clear he was not very good at football.
Zach
Thought
Fisher.
he could have been. No, not Zach Fisher. He
Damn
moved to
it.
halfback like last year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but he could have played. He could have played. Hey,
No.
come on. That's a fair guess based on your clue.
I don't think so.
So Zach
I
Fisher
thought it
wasn't
was
there.
very poor. Zach Fisher was not in this team. No, this is.
We tried him at halfback in 2020, and then we had to trade him.
Absolutely, and then
And
we
he
went.
still play footy?
No, got delisted from the club that we traded him to a couple years ago, if not last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, God. That is tough. Can we trade him away? Nah.
That sounds like a pass. I don't
like
know
a
if I can
pass.
give you. Had one of the best games that we saw where we thought this guy's going to be an absolute gun midfielder. Dominated. Oh, well, Cunningham's there. He's in the forward pocket.
He is
Not
there.
the guy I wanted, but that works. No, this
Oh,
player.
Sam Przeski-Seaton.
I was about to say best wet footy player that we've ever seen is your back pocket there. So you've done okay here. You've done better than I anticipated.
Oh, you have helped.
Let's go.
I appreciate it.
Midfielder. Look, one of the first things that David Teague did when taking over was bring back the veterans to the midfield, got rid of Dow, got rid of O'Brien, brought Mark Murphy and Who back into the midfield to see instant results, but that didn't maybe help us in the long run.
In 2020, a veteran. So obviously he's retired now.
Yes.
God.
Maybe Lockie, maybe one of the most pivotal people in this club in bringing us the success that we've seen over the last couple of years through an incredible moment that will go down in Carlton history.
How good's this silence for a podcast? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Camp Curnow, Lockie. Ed Curnow is the man.
Oh
in the
my
midfield.
God, that's bad. That's bad.
That's bad. I thought that was a layup. The people will be screaming, saying that was so obvious.
That is bad.
Here you go. So you got two more spots. You've got a winger who was not a winger, but we decided for some reason, let's chuck this man out on the wing. He then proceeded to not be very good, and we traded him away to a rival where he still plays somewhat to this day. Injured, but he's at that club.
Injured. Okay.
First name starts with
Dow.
W, if that helps.
First name starts with W. God, shows how much I keep up with the players that we trade away.
We brought him in from a different club. We did not originally draft him.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The big inside mid.
Setterfield.
Will Setterfield is the man on the wing. Now,
he has been injured a lot, hasn't he?
Yes. Now, the last player to round out this team that currently is Plowman, Jones, Simpson, Doherty, Wiedering, Petrevsky-Seaton, Walsh, Cripps, Setterfield, McGovern, Casbolt, Martin, Betts, Mackay, Cunningham, Pitternet, Curnow, Mark Murphy, and the bench being Newman, Newns, Gibbons. He was a little bit of a small forward hybrid player. I mean, I say hybrid. He was really just like average galore everywhere. Brought him
Cam Paulson.
No, just let me give you
Aaron Mullet.
He was a player that is probably the most easy to forget player through this period. Kicked a couple of goals against Essendon in one of these games that I absolutely nailed remembering in one of our last Guess the 22s. Came from Geelong, if that helps. That's all I'll give you. And if you don't get it, I'll be saying his name in about 30 seconds.
Oh my God. It is such a forgettable name. Who's the OG Lockie Fogarty? Oh,
it's not Billy Smets. It's not Billy Smets. He wore number 16. If that helps
Darcy
you.
Lang.
Darcy Lang. That is him.
Billy Smets did help.
That team, not very good, but
How is that team
weirdly,
going to make a final?
when I look at it, I'm just trying to see how many we still have at the club. And yeah, wow. Doherty, Wiedering, Walsh, Cripps, McGovern, Martin, Cunningham, Mackay, Pitternet, Newman. That's it. So that is a bulk of that team regenerated
of course.
from this period. A team that we thought was potentially good enough to make finals. It's absolutely insane, Lockie. But let me know how all those that watched and listened went guessing that 22 in the comments below or over at the socials. But now that I've, I guess, thrown Lockie completely under the bus and embarrassed him trying to remember that team, I think it's about time we go down memory lane ourselves. And Lockie's got a couple of clips lined up for me. I don't necessarily know exactly what these are, what they entail. They could all be embarrassing moments that I've had on the pod. This could just be all my horrific predictions, and Lockie just roast me for an hour. But Lockie, what have you got as our first clip to play?
Absolutely. I thought we'd take it back to the start. Let's just hear how the podcast sounded. Day dot 2020, first beginning. Episode. Let's hear how the start of that went.
Here they come. O'Brien. Where's Charlie Curnow? He's got it. Charlie's got it. Busts a move. Cripps. This is a big moment. Holds your breath. Breathe. What a goal from Patrick Cripps. What about the front and centre? Unbelievable.
Clever. Murphy, the veteran. The sidestep. The banana. Mark Murphy to try and win it for the Blues at the death.
Hello and welcome to the debut podcast of the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian.
I'm Lockie.
And we've got a lot in store for you today. We'll be previewing the season, giving our predictions, along with building up our round 2 clash against Melbourne. And what I'm looking forward to the most is revealing and dissecting our best Carlton 22s. Now, we haven't told each other who we've got here. I'm ready to roast you for who you've selected there.
I'm very excited to see it. It was a lot more challenging task than I thought it would be. Let me just say, I've got 33 players that I'm kind of like in contention for that 22.
Oh, it was hard. Those last couple of bench spots were probably like the hardest thing, I think, was trying to fit guys in, seeing where they could play what positions. I'm definitely keen for it. But first...
It's going to be funny if we have the exact same team.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I hope we do. Otherwise, there's...
If that happens, this podcast will never be released.
No, that's it. No
We've hype it up, all this.
And it's the exact same. We're the same person. But yeah, well, I think we probably should start off where things finished for a bit. Round 1, obviously a long time ago, it feels like now. Doesn't even feel like it's part of this season.
Yeah, look, and watching the highlights, you and I were watching the highlights a bit earlier, and gee, what a great game it was.
Yeah, it was a really slow start. Obviously, we lost 24-point loss to Richmond. Wasn't the ideal start. I mean, we've had those slow starts and it's been an issue. And I think it's something we'll touch on a bit later when we talk about our round 2 clash against Melbourne. But you can't. Yeah, wow. Yeah, wow. Nice little stuff. Remember the intro? Remember the intros we used to have on there?
Mate.
To hype us all up. I mean, what did you make
They hit hard.
Of that?
Yeah, I want to know what do you remember from that day? I remember clearly in my voice so much excitement that you can hear. I was clearly very nervous. I feel like maybe we did a few false starts. I could imagine that happened.
Yeah, I remember in my bedroom trying to record an episode with one mic, trying to get that going. And
yes.
Yeah, you sounded very, very, very happy. I can just sense the nervousness in the way I'm talking there. And I can just picture myself eyeballing everything in the room, just trying to string a sentence together for the first time, trying to record something. But I mean, it's great to know that even after another loss against Richmond round 1, we were still up and about thinking things aren't too bad.
Those poor men didn't know what they were going to be walking
really didn't
into
think
over those next
any more
few years.
hurt was going to happen. Thought it was all going to be positive after that. But weirdly, it's not as bad as I thought for a first episode would be.
I love that I was spoiled for choice picking the best 22. Like, that's a funny concept, considering that was the team that we just went through. Like,
so
who
was
was not
Lang
making
in
the
that
cut?
team? Mickey Gibbons, spoiled for choice.
I also like that we already knew that we were the same person at that time too, in terms of picking teams as well. So that self-awareness was good.
Yeah, not sure too much has changed since then, except hopefully
No,
we've gotten
really
a
not.
little bit better at presenting on air. But yes, it was a strange season. Many big moments is what I'm trying to remember. So, were there anything
Yeah.
big that happened in that season? If so, Lockie, what other kind
That's
of clips
it.
do you have from that year, the inaugural year of the podcast?
Of course. Well, that's the other clip that I've got from 2020.
Boys dream, kick after the siren to win the game for your club. Wasting no time, Jack Nunes. Set shot, he strikes it beautifully. He's got it. The Blues win it. Jack Nunes after the siren has won the game for
How's the
Carlton.
edit?
That is unbelievable.
Hello and just quietly, it's good to know that my editing skills have and my laziness has only gotten worse throughout this
How's the
time.
effort?
Haven't got anything like that since.
Intro for a specific episode, mate. Outdone
Maybe we got to
yourself.
bring that back. We got to bring that back. But I'll shut up. Let's listen to the rest of this. Jack
was elite.
Nunes, what a time. Welcome to the Navy Blue Corner, or should I say the Jack Nunes Corner. I mean, wow. I still cannot believe what happened in that match. I mean, we're recording this the day after it all happened, and to be honest, when I woke up this morning, I had to get on my phone and double check and make sure that wasn't a dream, that goal actually happened, because, wow, what a way to win a game of footy.
Genuinely felt like a dream, didn't it? And in the moment, I was so sure that it was not going to go through. Like, as he was lining up, it's like, this is just so asked for this to happen. You know, he'll hit the post or something crazy, but oh, God, it was so good.
I felt the exact same. As soon as he was like about to take the kick, it was like sort of like everything stopped. I just remember like standing there being like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like there's nothing that will give me security in this. Because I mean, we never seem to win these games.
Yeah.
And not to be rough on Jack Nunes, but he's not known for his sort of match-winning a kicking ability here. So to just, as soon as it came off the boot, it felt like, as I said, time stood still, and I was never going to celebrate because off the shoe, it looked good. And I was just like, it could hit the post. Anything could happen. I'm not going to celebrate. And it took me until the Carlton players started celebrating. I was like, yes, it's gone in. And I was full running around the house like some idiot. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and her family's sort of European, so they don't really get into the footy that much. And they're all just going, what is wrong with this man? What has happened? But I would not have it any other way.
Yeah,
Oh, that is class. No, I love that it sort of starts with
God.
you not having any faith that kick will go in, and us being able to take those key moments because of previous trauma. Good to see that still hasn't changed. And good to know that I'm still giving players drive-bys when they have accomplished something.
Biggest moment of his career. Full drive-by.
Why not? Not a lot's changed in that sense. But I remember that like it was genuinely yesterday, that Jack Nunes goal.
Seriously.
Cracking the shits when Sam Doherty kicked it on the full, walking away thinking that was the game, having to be called back, not knowing what happened, but all of a sudden Nunesy's got the ball, trying to kick out their cameraman, all the cables. I mean, that was one of those times, probably one of the first times with, I guess, the emergence of social media and I guess the COVID bubble and everything, where you then, after the game, are going on the socials and checking the Carlton social media to see clips of all the players that weren't at the ground celebrating in the rooms. That was probably one of the first moments that there was so much content around a moment of footy. Is that how you kind of reflect on that as well?
I guess so. I think it probably was the birth of a bit of a different time. I mean, it was one of the darkest times, I guess, in Melbourne in particular. Like this was like the proper depths of the lockdowns and that kind of thing. So I guess we were seeking that connection. Like I don't think we were even recording together at this stage.
No.
I wouldn't, like, it didn't sound like we were in the same room for that record. So it was like such a we needed that. We needed this one to go through. It would have been one of the most forgettable games of all time if the game ended 30 seconds earlier. It was a disgusting, disgusting game with just this one euphoric moment.
No, and then probably the first time my girlfriend saw me lose my shit at the football in a positive way. So good to see that. It's the exact same, and sort of got sucked in from that moment, having to support the Blues and understand how crazy a fan I am. But oh man, Jack Nunes, it's kind of one of those great moments. I think when you look at Carlton and the last sort of few years that we've done this podcast, where you don't have to be, and this is another drive-by to Jack Nunes, but I'm meaning it positively, where you don't have to be a superstar to have these moments that we'll look back for the next 20, 30 years, be like, I remember that Jack Nunes goal, and he's forever in sort of Carlton history and folklore for that incredible moment. And what an absolute kick. What a shoe.
Even though we didn't have the seasons we wanted to in that year in 2021, this feels like what were the really awesome moments between this goal and 2014? I have so few positive game winning moments or performances, and I feel like we've got a lot more of those since this happened. So this felt like a bit of a turning point like that.
I think it is. What other clips do you have for me, Lockie, through the Teague train era? Because we were still positive on Teague at this stage.
Well, yeah, let's see what the vibes were like after round 2, losing to Collingwood in 2021. I remember it very well because we were looking at these 2 games, Richmond and Collingwood, and we were like, can we split these? We know these are 2 talented teams, but can we get over the line against one? We have faith that we can.
Draining just after that performance to Collingwood. There's been a lot of negativity, and I think rightfully so. Both of us were pretty, optimistic fans most of the time. This week, Lockie, I am struggling a little bit. I'm going to need you to be my therapist. Come on, man, cheer me up. Because I think we've been chatting a little bit before we started this podcast, and we've got slightly different views. So hit me with it. Give me some positivity after that, because it's hard to find.
Yeah. No, well, I'm definitely going to try and do my best, because I don't want it to be doom and gloom 2 games into the season. Even though, if anyone listened to last week's episode, they'll know that we were locking it in as a certain win. So that's probably the first thing that hurts, how confident we were.
That's the hardest thing, because I think there was so much going into it. The fact that Carlton Collingwood, big rivalry. Both teams were on level wins as well, which was such a big thing. We're talking about finals. Yep. There's that big stat getting thrown around all week that barely anyone who goes 0-2 can make finals. And they're one of the teams that we need to beat to basically jump on the ladder to knock out of finals. They're one we've been talking about all preseason as the one that'll drop out. So we had to win sort of thing. And I think it wasn't necessarily just the loss for me that is why I'm so disappointed. It was just the whole way about it, and our actual performance as a whole, rather than just the complete result that has me a little bit down. But yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely different. I think our analysis will be different again another time, where when you're at the game, it's such a different feeling. Yeah. Because maybe it does give you more optimism, because, there was moments in the last quarter where it was like, oh, here we go. We could run over the top here. And the crowd, it was our first home game, and the crowd was up and about for us and that kind of thing. So that's another reason why I didn't feel as doom and gloom, because I felt like in the last quarter, I was like, we have a chance. Oh, okay, we've been run over again. But yeah, look, the Carlton community has been, very upset in the last few days, and which is so fair, because we were basically saying we want to be 1-1. However we can make that happen, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, wow. Doesn't sound good.
Does that bring back trauma?
A little bit. What I love that I think has changed a little bit since we were in those times, we were putting so much emphasis and trying to find all the little things that equal what gets you finals. So there was that emphasis on we can't go 0-2 because no team ever goes 0-2.
That stood out to me too.
Whereas if that happened now, it's like, I'll go 0-4. Doesn't matter. I believe we'll turn this around and get the victory. So I love how once you've kind of made finals and even made a prelim, so many of those weird little perspectives and looking for positives, looking for things kind of just disappear as a fan, which might not be great for content, not having all these amazing stats to bring out for the listeners and the viewers. But I think for my positive mentality, it's definitely improved. What did you, make of that little clip there?
It did strike me your tone of voice from the get-go. Haven't heard that tone in years. Like you were genuinely like taken away from this. I felt like, and yeah, just such an interesting time. Like we were just so desperate to win one of our first 2 games of the season, and that would have been massive progress.
Yeah, I reckon wins everywhere felt so much bigger throughout those years. We hadn't seen many. You only have to go back to 2018, 3 years before that. And we were only winning 2 games a season. Every single win felt like winning a final. Knowing how much things have changed since then, regular season wins don't hit as hard as they did, and particularly losses.
True.
I think we clearly took them so much worse than we do now, which is, again, probably such a really good thing.
Well, that's not going to bode well for the next clip, which is...
I can see this getting queued up now. Oh, poor David Teague.
It's really interesting hearing how we start talking about this. I'm interested to hear your take. I don't think the whole episode was this vibe, but here it is.
To the Navy Blue Corner, I'm Ian Brownie. I'm joined as always by my good mate Lockie Lydiard, and wow, I do not know where to start on that game of football. I didn't think it was going to be great with some of the outs that we had. I never could have imagined that it would have been as bad as it was, particularly, considering we started pretty well, Lockie. It looked okay at the start, but it ultimately, when you have 19 goals scored on you and you cannot kick a goal in about 2.5 quarters of football, it's never going to end well. Lockie, how you feeling after that loss against Port Adelaide?
Oh, mate, just another roller coaster. I do this to myself. I mean, halfway through that second quarter, you're like,
you start to believe
they're going to do it for Murph. Like you're thinking it throughout the week. Will they do it for Murph? And then they look good. And there is just no way that you can explain what happened in the rest of that game.
Oh, I've wiped so much of that game from my memory, Lockie.
Yuck.
Port Adelaide giving us a bath, 19 goals in a row. The end of David Teague, really, at that stage. The review was in full swing. Everything was happening at the back scenes of the club. But, oh, man, for that to be Mark Murphy's 300th game, it was depressing then. It hurts more now knowing like that we didn't get to do anything good for Murph. But and kind of what's sort of preceded his time at the football club. But yeah, that was probably the first time on the podcast that we had this. We started with belief, and then all of a sudden it just didn't go the way we thought it would. Started to tank. Everything was horrific, and we're all of a sudden eyeing off a new coach when we all thought David Teague was hopefully that guy that was at least going to be there for 5 years and maybe give us some finals.
19 goals in a row.
Yeah. No. It was bad watching it. But it never looked like we were going to kick a goal at that stage. No. I can't believe I stayed and watched the whole thing on my couch, Lockie.
Totally.
Now, I've had to go and look because I think I said there something as if there was a lot of outs in this game. That's not something I remember. Having a look at this, outs from the team that played the week before, Harry Mackay, Jack Martin, Jack Silvani, Liam Jones, Patrick Cripps. In Brody Kemp and Corey Durden for their first ever games for the club. Levi Casbolt, McGovern, Sam Petrevsky, Seaton. The team it's got Newman, Wiedering, Sard, Kemp. Jeez, I'm trying to find some players still there. Durden, McGovern, Charlie, TDK, Kennedy, Walsh. Gee, that's it. There are so many players that no longer on our list. Like Plowman, Williamson, Nunes, Dow, Murphy, Ed Kerno, Eddie Betts, Levi Casbolt, Lockie O'Brien, Liam Stocker, Zach Fisher, Josh Honey. Wow. Yeah. That team is a lot different. So at least that gives me some confidence looking back. Because sometimes you remember these moments and think, is our team currently holding on to any of this past trauma when we talk about those big moments and what this maybe did to their confidence? There just wasn't a lot of them there, so I don't think it really did.
Well, I said in the clip, you cannot explain to me how that happened, and I think you just did explain how it happened with some of the names that you read then.
That's a bad team. Good Lord. I'm glad we're not that anymore.
Happier times are just on the horizon.
And welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian Brownie. I'm joined as always by my good mate, Lockie Lydiard, and the Carlton Football Club finally and officially have a new coach in Michael Voss. Lockie, what were your, initial thoughts when it was finally announced?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose the media has made it appear to be a long and drawn-out saga, but it's not even the grand final yet. So I'm pretty pleased that it's happened at this time, though. Lots of time to prepare for the upcoming trade period. But yeah, initially I was pretty excited, and I think as the hours have gone by since the announcement, I've got more and more excited just thinking about it. How about you?
I agree. I think that as soon as it was announced, it was kind of just like relief rather than anything else. Whoever was going to be the coach at that stage, I was just excited to have something, and then I was keen to hear the interview, the press conference, see what he has to say. And I suppose throughout the day, the more content that came around, even though probably I'm a little bit more skeptical today than I was yesterday, and I think a lot of people still are, and maybe people aren't as on board, which I understand that, because we've had so many coaches over the past 20 years. It makes sense that people are a little bit apprehensive, going, well, I'm not going to jump 100% in straight away because we've been here before.
For sure.
But I think as soon as something like this gets announced, you can't help but just get excited, get up and about that we finally got a coach and it's Michael Voss, and you start, watching highlights of him as a player and try to read into every little thing, and you can't help but get a little bit of optimism straight away.
Yeah.
Well, Vossi finally at the club. It is strange. He wasn't our number one choice at that time. We were both very big on Ross. We were all on that board. As soon as that didn't happen, I can't exactly recall who we both wanted, but I know we weren't certain at that stage. We were skeptical of everyone, and it does make sense, I think, what I was talking about there, which holds up to this day. I
think so too.
We'd been through so many coaches, so we thought we have to get this right. There's no margin for error. We can't sit here in a year or 2 years' time, which we almost did, which maybe I think you might have a clip of that where we didn't want to be sacking Voss and thinking we've got to start again and do it all. And I think some of the question marks with Vossi are still there, but overall, what he's been able to transform with his strength of leadership that the club clearly wanted at that stage has come to fruition. And I loved that day it all happened, like I think I alluded to. All those doubts kind of went away, and it was sweet. Voss is the man. Let's back him in.
Yep.
And I don't think he could have wiped the smile off my face that day after that press conference with Vossi. Hearing he was a Carlton supporter growing up, all those little tidbits that were in there talking about his favourite Carlton memories. I mean, there's just so much about Michael Voss that you love that was there from the start, and it's there now. Can you cast your mind back and think about what you felt when Vossi was hired, and maybe whether that was super positive or whether you did have a bit of skepticism still then?
Yeah, it was all about we didn't, or at least I didn't have a deep understanding of each of the coaches that were there. All I really knew was who they were as players, who they'd been as coaches in their careers. So Vossi had the Brisbane stint, and then obviously Port to go off. So Ross Lyon was someone who on paper looked more exciting. And I remember Kingsley as well was someone at that time who I knew definitely the least about. It's interesting looking back now, it definitely felt like a new era starting at this point. Whereas for me, Bolton Teague just feels like one big era. I don't know if you feel the same way, but when that change happened in 2019, that just feels like one whole period of time with those two bunched, and then this felt like a new beginning.
No, I agree. And it probably has something to do with Sayers and Cookie coming across at similar passages.
Definitely.
It all kind of melds as one. I can't recall exactly when they all came across, but it did feel like something else. And maybe the time period, COVID and everything that was lingering then makes it feel so specific, and such everything pre that time, everything post that time kind of adds to it all. But there was this complete shift in feeling and how we talk about things immediately from when Voss was introduced. And that's kind of where I'm sensing all my feelings when looking back at that stage. And we weren't certain that things were going to just turn around and be good, but there was at least some new hope. And you can't always get that when, at least for once, the big thing around that time, the rhetoric was who's been there and done it? Do we have any leaders? What's going on? And I think that was the big difference between him and Kingsley. I was still big on wanting the next guy rather than this constant looking at the past, which was probably the worry with Voss at that stage. Are we getting someone that we're just getting the name of Michael Voss? I maybe wanted the next superstar coach in what Kingsley could have been. But, just Michael Voss was just so exciting. He was so exciting with the way he spoke and just the way he felt, and having someone that you knew has won flags, was a captain, had some level of coaching experience, and this was do or die for him as well. And maybe that married with the feeling at Carlton it being do or die all kind of blended really well together. How do you kind of reflect on?
Well said.
I guess just the decision from then to now, and that being the right or wrong call. Not to, I guess, be looking at it in a negative sense, but are you happy that we went Michael Voss in the end?
Yeah, I guess maybe one way to think about it, without knowing how this season played out, would you have taken, like, let's say hypothetically, we win our first final this year and then we go out. Would you have taken these 3 seasons when these two blokes were chatting about Vossi getting hired? Would you have taken a prelim, a heartbreak, and a kind of a middle run?
Yeah, I guess overall, if you're saying, because I'll take it a different way because that's what I do here. But if you said 2 of the 3 seasons we play finals football, one of them we at least make a prelim, I'd definitely take that. I would have just taken. I would have snatched at anything for just finals. Then the fact that we were able to win one and go to that step was massive. And now we're at the point where finals feels not enough. And we're not just happy with making a final or winning one. It's crazy how the expectations evolve and adapt throughout the years. The heartbreak of Vossi's first year, I wish that wasn't there, but now that you get, the prelim of last year, hopefully we can go further this year. And that by the time we eventually win that flag, it's going to be such an amazing thing to look back on and to see how much we've grown. Sometimes you need that adversity to get there. So I would definitely take what we've gotten from Voss. And the fact that he's also, like we touched on the last episode, also just an incredible citizen, tackling the alleged criminals out there. I don't know if Adam Kingsley would be out there doing that.
Let's have a listen to a couple of blokes dissecting being 3-0 for the first time in a long time.
Navy Blue Corner, I'm Ian, and finally, for the first time this season, we are both together, and I can finally say that I'm joined by my good mate Lockie. And look, I'll be honest, I was very nervous going to this game, thinking it'd be so just the universe that we've missed out on chatting about 2 beautiful wins this season, and Carlton will stuff it up, and then we'll have to come in for the first time this year, chat about a loss, but thank God the Baggers held on at the death there. Lockie, how are you feeling after that 1-point win against the Hawks?
Onto the world, mate. How can you not? All the doubters every single week. It's like, we may not win round 1. Oh, okay, we've got a good win. Now we've got the Doggies, a grand final team. I'll get the win. And it just felt like going into this week, it's like, it's too good to be true. How can we start the season off 3-0? And so it feels great. How about you?
Yeah, just to be 3-0 is massive. I did not imagine that. I was worried we'd be 0-2 go into that game, because that's a real possibility. To be 3 wins, 0 losses, and I think we'll touch on this in very much a lot of depth, but just to not perform the best for the whole 4 quarters, have so many areas of improvement, particularly from this game, to bank wins is insane. Like, I've got some stats I'll show up later about how many teams that have started this make finals and different things like that. It is just so valuable to get that confidence started and to still know that we can improve and play better, and we're still winning. This is nothing that Carlton's done in 10 years. It's insane.
And how often have we seen this exact thing reversed, where teams get a massive jump on us, and then we're fighting our way back, and then we maybe hit the lead and then get run over the top? It's so nice to have the tables turned, and it just continues to show that we're a different team this year. You cannot say otherwise.
We jinxed ourselves.
Absolutely. Good to see we've still
The
got
lids
stats
are
there
off.
We're making finals. You beauty. How good is this? I do like that we had that weird start to the season where you weren't available for one episode. I wasn't available for another, finally getting together. And not long after that, I think there was a Port game that we were at Airlie Beach trying to watch it, delayed. KO's not working. We're trying to sort it all out. That was another stressful game, but I do have so many vivid memories of that Hawthorn game. The Jack Silvani goal to take it, the Wiedering diving back, going back with the flight to take the match-winning, match-saving mark. Yeah, wow. Top of the world. I mean, that was the first time we'd ever won 3 in a row. It might be the first time we'd won 2 in a row in God knows how many years, but we have never really seen Carlton do that ever as supporters. So I think that was a massive milestone for us, which is crazy because I think if that happened, this year, next year, when that happens, I just would not be anywhere near as excited. It feels like it just isn't important now, which is crazy to think. Is that a good thing that we maybe aren't as excited, or is it a bad thing that we've maybe lost that little bit of joy in those little moments?
Oh, mate, that's a really interesting thing to think about. I want it to be a reminder to enjoy the wins like we did then. Like, we were euphoric to be able to talk about the fact that we were 3-0. That is so funny. We're going to go through some stats on how often teams make finals being 3-0. It's like, mate, it's bloody April. Put a lid on it. But that was such a beautiful thing because we were it was so foreign to us.
And we're just so desperate for it at that stage. We wanted it so badly. We were going to find any way to get there. Oh, how did that season progress, Lockie?
Let's have a look.
And welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie. And the Blues are one step closer to making finals for the first time since 2013 with a 36-point win over GWS to go 12-6. Lockie, what did you make of that win, and how are you feeling about being just that little bit closer to seeing Carlton play finals this year?
Oh, mate, that was a bit of a wow. What a reminder. We are getting close. 4 weeks away. Maybe. We're almost there. You feel like you can almost hang on to it, right?
Yeah, just about. We said at the start of the season, surely 12 wins get you finals. It feels like you need a couple more now. And with, 4 games to go, look, we're any chance to get 2, maybe even 3 if we're good enough. But I think 1, going off all the ladder predictors that I've done every single day,
Me too.
That keeps going by, I feel like 1 more definitely gets us in. Yeah. Another on top of that would be amazing. But yeah, look, it's great to just be beating these teams that I think we should be beating.
Spoiler, we did not win 1 more.
We did not. I mean, at least we were looking at, we thought 12 wins would get us in. We looked at it historically. Well, it definitely didn't. We were 0.6% away from making finals. What an absolute disaster. I know that's most likely the clip you have coming up next, but I just want to have a quick look because how many wins got a team into finals this year? 13. So it's really 12 no longer get you it. I mean, that's kind of also showed you the competition and what shifted in that sense. The rhetoric of it's so close, the competition is so even, has really grown in the last few seasons. And that kind of is evident there where 12 wins used to get you finals. Well, Collingwood and Freo missed out this year on 12. That's how much more difficult it is. But yeah, wow, we were very confident going into that, Lockie. What happened? What went wrong?
So confident.
What were those last
Adelaide.
What were those last couple of rounds? Because I obviously remember the last 2, but what were the other 2 games if you've got them in front of you?
I don't have them in front of me, but I remember there was Brisbane, which was the Paddy Cripps bump.
Adelaide, then Brisbane were the 2 games. Oh, then, Adelaide was
the 2 heartbreaks.
I believe that Adelaide game was that where they brought in like a guy like Jordan Butts in his first game and he absolutely has a blinder? That might have been one of those kind of games. Him and someone else.
We travelled over
Worrell.
there.
Oh, Horrific.
And it was just one of the worst viewing experiences I've ever had. We were just absolutely horrible. Coming off a 6-goal win against the Giants, which is what this episode was. Like, seriously, you could hear it in our voice how confident we were. You were like, maybe we'll win 3 of these 4.
We should have. I mean, if I've just looked this up, who do you think for Adelaide kicked 3 goals against us?
Oh, Ben Keys.
Yeah, Ben Keys, of course. This might have been the beginning of Ben Keys starts to dominate Carlton. Oh, look, it's interesting. We only lost by 29, but
it
I
felt
guess
like 60.
It must have been one of those games where the scoreline flatters what it definitely was. And it's just crazy to think, looking back at that time, I've really erased so much of it from my memory, but it was so stressful. I don't think I've ever been so stressed in those 4 weeks. It just felt like everything was closing in. Adelaide, you lose. Okay, well, now it's Brisbane away. Shit, what happens? Cripper gets suspended on Archie, almost losing the Brownlow. Get away with it. Go to Melbourne, and you think, oh, just win this. We're in front. Always doesn't get the kickoff well enough. Turnover. Cozzy Pickett, goal. And then it all sets up for Carlton Collingwood. 3/4 time, we're sitting pretty. Jesus, what a sad time. Hello and welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie. And it's a bit of a somber mood. I normally try to get up and about for the start of these podcasts, but I just can't do it this week. And look, it's been a few days now. We've both given each other a bit of time to process everything before jumping on recording. So Lockie, mate, I've got to ask, how are you doing? How are you going? And I guess, how have you dealt with everything post-Sunday?
Oh, it's good to be here, mate. We have given it a few days. Can't say my outlook on it all has changed a whole lot. I'm definitely not going to be my optimistic self on today's episode. It's been hard to digest it, especially considering the position that we're in during the game. But, I think, it's too early to kind of make the big kind of season review calls, like successful season, all that stuff. We'll get to that at some stage. But right now, just hurts that we're not going to be there in a couple of weeks.
100%. Like, I know for myself, it was weird. It's one of the weirdest reactions I think I've had to a game of football where, and we'll obviously get into everything, but checking my phone, I knew how long there was left to go in the game. I knew it wasn't long enough for us to score and win. So it was just me just waiting for that final siren to go. And then basically as soon as it went, stood up, looked at my girlfriend and said, let's get out of here because I don't want to be here. Don't want to be around Collingwood supporters. Let's just get out and go. And pretty much for the whole walk back to the car, I didn't feel angry, sad, annoyed. It was just nothing. And it wasn't like this emptiness, depressed nothing. It was genuinely no emotion. It wasn't a happy, wasn't a sad. It was this weird feeling where all I could say was, well, what can you do? And, I just kept walking to the car. I thought like for some reason it just hadn't fazed me. And I'd somehow gotten away from all this emotion. And then it was probably when I got home, it all just hit me. And the whole feeling of everything that had just transpired, our season collapsing, no finals. I just laid on the floor, and then Monday was the same. Tuesday felt a little bit better, and I guess Wednesday, here we are. I think time's probably going to be one of the only things that heals this, and it's strange. I thought last week was probably the most heartbreaking loss we've had since probably the 2011 semi-final against West Coast.
Oh, gosh.
I think this one's topped both somehow. I guess we got to get talking to the main parts of this. Look, to be 4 goals up going into the last quarter, lose by a point, miss finals against Collingwood. Like, genuinely, what can you say? I've tried to write like run sheets for law. I don't know what to say for the first time, and I know I speak a lot, and this podcast will still find a way to go for about 7 hours, but I genuinely am still pretty lost for words. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to talk about. So hopefully, look, this episode here allows us both to vent, and hopefully it adds as a bit of therapy to sort of heal the hurt that I know we're feeling, and I know all the listeners are definitely feeling. I'd have at least one question to jump off into, Lockie, which is 2 weeks in a row, we've now put ourselves into winnable positions, almost unlosable positions, and managed to then lose. Subsequently, we've missed finals. I guess what do you make of it? Because the big question that we may as well lead off with is, can we learn from it? Or is it going to make us, or is it going to break us, this loss?
Yeah, well, you have to say that it will make us. Of course, that's not who we are. We can't take that glum approach. I think the first thing that I kind of thought about when I was reflecting about it was, yes, we lost these 2 close games against 2 teams that could potentially be in the grand final. And it's not always the thing that people want to hear. Like, we should be competitive with everyone. Yes, yes, yes. But we were sitting here a month ago after that Adelaide game, just absolutely disgusted with what we saw. And we've seen that at least turn around in some regard, where we were seconds away 2 weeks in a row from wins. And then I think back to what you referred to a few times this season and what Port Adelaide did to us 12 months ago to the day, to where we are now, but essentially playing the closest thing that we could to finals. That atmosphere, I'm sure you would agree that was the most finals-like non-finals game that I've ever been at.
Wow,
loser mentality, Lockie. God.
Oh, I sound like I'm about to cry in that one. I've never seen me so heartbroken. Tell you what, thank God we made finals this time round. I'm not sure I could have listened to that clip knowing we'd just done the same thing 2 years later against St Kilda. makes it all funny now, to be honest.
It's true.
But, yeah.
So did we learn?
I don't know, Lockie. I don't know.
Who knows?
I thought we did last year. Who knows if we did? But yeah, I am glad. I don't think I'll ever feel that upset ever again over a game of football. And yeah, thank God for last. I think is all I'll say on that.
The way that we just built up over the entire season to that moment. Like, you hear how we were talking earlier in the season and how things were going. We set ourselves up for failure. Really? But yeah, I think it should be a few happy moments in a row here now. So we're going to fast forward a fair bit ahead. We know a lot of different things happened in 2023, but we finally got that finals performance.
Hello and welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie, and for the first time on the podcast, I can say that Carlton has won a final, defeating Sydney by 6 points in a gutsy elimination final win. Lockie, mate, how are you? And to kick things off, just take me through your emotions, how you felt, and what this experience has been like for you.
Gee whiz, I think we're going to be able to go on for hours and hours, so I'll try not to get too into it, but as you can see, my voice, or as you can hear, my voice is still recovering a little bit. We're a few days on, but almost lost my throat there at a few stages with just pure elation because, yeah, I can't think of many happier times being a Carlton fan than this one, I think.
Yeah, I've definitely been the exact same. And I think every Carlton supporter has, where there's just so much building into this, so many years, so much just in 2023 going into this contest, first final, 10 years, finally, just the elation, just the pure joy of, and it's hard to get too ahead of yourself because it only is just a finals win. And obviously we want more. We want multiple finals. I want a grand final win. That's the ultimate goal. But when we haven't had this for so long, and this has been just one goal that we've wanted to obtain, both of us have said multiple times on this podcast at length that we've only really seen 2 finals wins. We've only been at 1 final win. So to add another to that, you just can't not be happy, and just, you can't take the smile off my face. Every 2 seconds I'm thinking about a new moment from that game, and it's just such a special time to be a Carlton supporter. Yeah. Wow. Good to see us happy after a couple of those clips. It's kind of crazy. My memories of that Sydney game aren't super strong. And I think that's because of what happened the week after that. It almost just usurped everything from that Sydney game. But I just go back to the feeling of the start of that game. The only thing I wanted was, I wanted to hear the national anthem, and then the big "Up the Baggers, Can the Blues" as soon as the anthem's finished. And then seeing just that the first kick the first 2 goals and us getting up and about, starting to believe. I mean, Akers everywhere, kicking goals, saving goals. Yeah. Harry getting himself knocked out and missing one from directly in front. The game had absolutely everything. Nick Newman getting the game-saving mark. Just
Doc goal.
It's your typical Carlton kind of game. But to finally have that final ticked off last year and the win, wow, that was something that we dreamed of on this podcast. And it's crazy that a finals win almost means not as much now, but I think this is a really good reflection to, like you said earlier, try to get that perspective of, no, these moments mean something. This is important. Us making finals this year is just another massive milestone because it's what we've always wanted. Yeah, we want to go further, clearly, but you've just got to embrace and enjoy the times. And I love seeing us happy there.
Me too. I think it is, thinking about what's the game that's going to be happening next weekend, like this does help put it into perspective for me that I will be absolutely going off my head if we do manage to get over the line in this one. I like your comment about the national anthem. Like I had been to a number of finals as an adult for non-Carlton games, and that is always one of my highlights is like when that finishes and everyone goes out to get ready. And you're right. So to have that for the first time for us was a memorable thing.
Beautiful. So what else do you have for me? There's one final clip you've got to take us down memory lane. I tell you what, I'm excited for this.
Has to be the highlight of the pod, doesn't it?
I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie, and Carlton are through to a preliminary final, and that is a phrase that I think far too many times over the last 10 years I never thought I'd be able to say. And this game, man, I have spent almost every single day since Friday night trying to find the right words to describe it. I can't describe that. I can't describe the moment itself. Yet to find it. It was just magical. That's, I think, the closest I'm going to get. But Lockie, mate, how are you? And has it all sunk in yet?
Definitely hasn't sunk in. Never been better. Yeah, no, it definitely still feels surreal. There was just so many moments in that game where I'm like, it's I'm proud of the boys, but it's done. I don't think we're going to get there. And then we somehow did. Yeah.
Has any moment topped that this year? I don't think so. Unless we go maybe a little bit further. I don't think anything will, but I've said so many times since, if I could just bottle how I felt when he kicks that goal, when the siren goes, I'd just be the happiest man every single second of every single day. I remember at that time, I didn't want to leave the ground because I knew, and this is so sad and sentimental, but I knew once I left that ground, it meant that moment was over. And even though the memory would be there, it was just so big and so emotional. I didn't want to leave it. And even right now, I'd give, I know it's not a grand final, and I can't even imagine what that would be like because that was a semi-final. It wasn't even a prelim, but everything, the moments, the roller coaster, thinking the game was lost, Motlop kicks one, all of a sudden just how that last play happens. Wiedering, Hollins, Doc, Akers, goal.
Forgot about Viney.
Then you just saw, well, of course, mate, might have Petrarca soon as well. Who knows? But you then, the next couple of plays, DeConing massive, Chera wanting the ball more, every single player looking like they wanted it more than Melbourne. The siren, I'd give anything to go back to that moment every single day. I don't think I've ever been happier in my life in any moment. And maybe that's super sad, but that was incredible. I mean, what did you feel on that day? And do you feel any different being a year or so removed?
No, I think you've summarized my feelings super well. Like, certainly the most euphoric thing that I can remember feeling. And from the moment that Viney got the ball to 5 minutes after the siren, I can literally replay it second by second. And I remember when the goal went through. Well, I remember when the ball was kicked by Akers, immediately thinking that it missed from our angle. and then celebrating as it went through. And I remember saying to Dad, like, please prepare yourself if we lose this game, because there was just something that felt like there's just been so much cruelty to us over the years. Like, even though we've just had this absolute euphoric play that has led to this goal, it can still be it. We might still not get there. And then when Kennedy socked that behind through, something in me was like, do not let this be the cruelest way where they get 250s and something happens. And then the jam donuts were had by all.
Oh, mate, that was wild. I remember specifically a stage in that last quarter because Melbourne had so many opportunities but couldn't take them.
So many.
I just had to go to the bathroom, take 5 seconds, and deal with the fact that the dream run of this season may be over, because I was never even entertaining that throughout that time, and I just mentally needed to do it. I get back to my seat. All of a sudden, Motlop out of nothing kicks one, and I'm like, "Nah, we're believing again. Come on, let's do this." And
crazy.
Yeah, I've never checked my phone so much. I was shaking.
Oh, I know.
Just with nerves, and I think weirdly I was the opposite. As soon as that soccer went through, I realized that they don't have enough time to kick a goal. So I was just nothing but joy. I don't think I've ever had that feeling where I felt like I was going to pass out, but I was just so happy.
Oh yeah,
it was incredible. I mean, what an absolute moment in time. Oh, I'll never forget looking just behind Doc going for that mark, thinking, oh, for the love of God, keep that shoulder intact. Just somehow darting my eyes forward, thinking, oh my God, is it going to happen? It probably won't because it's us. And
why
magic.
is Gov in the goal square?
Why? Oh my God, there's 3 of us. What's going on? Oh, absolutely pure
mate.
magic. What an insane run. And why not? Why can't we do it again this year?
I was just going to say that. You said that maybe it's unlikely we'll have a moment like that this year, but I want to be optimistic and believe that, who knows? Sam Doherty game winner next week, anybody?
Could you imagine? Oh, I can't wait to start talking about this final, because we'll be back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. on Blue Abroad on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast in audio form to build up the Brisbane final. We'll be talking everything team selection, who should come in, reacting to all the news. I know the All-Australian team is out, but I don't necessarily have a lot to talk about it. It was great to see Wiedering there. We'll discuss it more in the build-up episode. And I mean, looking back at all of this, all these memories of this podcast, it makes me want to flag so much more, knowing the pain we kind of went through and the ups and downs, thinking when we started this, we all kind of expected it to just go perfectly and this nice little linear progression year on year. Okay, we'll make finals, then we'll win a final, then we'll make a prelim, then we'll win a flag. It's been a lot weirder than that. We've sacked a coach. We got Vossi. We missed the finals. We almost sacked him. We made a prelim.
Yep.
Almost missed out on finals this year, but we're there, and that's all that matters. The season starts again. 200 episodes, Lockie. How are you feeling? Did you think we'd kind of be here? What are you kind of feeling for the podcast going forward? It's a massive achievement. Not to sort of self-gloat a little bit, but
have a little gloat.
It's crazy.
Mate. I don't know. I wonder if I would love to go back and know if we ever said, how long do we think this thing is going to go for? We're going to do this for a year? What, 2 years? Do it till whatever? Do it till we play finals? Do it till we win a flag? Bring on the next 200.
No, it's been a lot of fun, but that's going to wrap up this 200th episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed the journey so far, whether you were there at episode 1. In fairness, 100%. There was probably about 3 of you, so I'm not sure you were, but whenever you joined, thank you for listening, watching. Thank you for sticking around and doing it. Honestly, every comment we get on YouTube, every time someone tweets at us, drops a reply on any of the social media posts, I just get so excited, and it's just everything I ever wanted from this. It wasn't about being some personality in the Carlton sphere. It was just I wanted more people to talk footy with, wanted to try and get a few more positive thoughts out there, and I feel like we've done that at least till now. The best part is we're recording our 200th episode and the season's still there. We're playing Brisbane this week, and I can't wait to talk about it all. Again, Wednesday next week is where it'll be. Can't wait to be there and chat with you all. Up the bloody baggers. Thank you for 200 episodes. See you guys next time.